anybody who see this, if you one of those people who text me and ask me if I was talking about you, yes. Because I ain't calling no names.
Yeah.
So you felt something.
Yeah. It spoke to you.
So if you felt like when I said these fake cheeks, I was talking about you, then that should be an automatic sign that you need to do something different.
Yeah,
because why would you feel that?
Yeah.
Because if I watched that, I wouldn't think you was talking about me.
Yeah.
My mind would think you was talking about me.
So welcome, 901. Thank you.
Are we live? Like that? Let's go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. I'm good.
All right.
Don't cut that out. Leave it in there. Leave it in the final edit.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your, I know your very busy schedule.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Can you introduce yourself to our remarkable viewers and audience who are listening to you who don't really know you and don't really know what you're doing right now?
Right. Peace, family. My name is Diallo Sumbry, aka Nana Kwabena Duku the first, aka Nana One, aka Pop to my granddaughter AC. I am here in Ghana. I am in Nkosuohene of Nyame, Bekyere, which is a small town in the eastern region near Kwabena. I am one of the owners of Oasis Beach Resort. I would like to say I'm one of the leaders of the diaspora movement here in Ghana, the Back to Africa movement. The new one now, which I feel is the greatest resurgence of people of African descent returning to the continent since Marcus Garvey. I do a lot of other things here, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But more than anything, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a family man, I'm a community man, I'm a businessman. So let's go. How was that?
That was
cool?
good. It was
All
good.
Right, perfect.
So tell us a little bit more about your work. Like, what are you doing right now, and what do you plan to do?
So that's an interesting question. So I'm not going to talk to you necessarily about industry.
Of course.
And I'm not going to talk to you about careers or projects.
Yeah.
But I want to talk to you about something that my brothers and I have been talking about, which is mastery. Mm-hmm. So probably more than anything through the work, the physical work that I'm doing in projects, right? Real estate development projects, or whether it's community development projects, or whatever it is, volunteer projects, anything. Mm-hmm. I am probably more right now in my life focused on learning and understanding mastery, right? Okay. And that normally starts with mastery itself. So I'm going deeper with you because I want you to understand that the products that, whether it's a business or a service product, comes from mastery. Yeah. Right? So the thing that I'm working on more than anything is mastery, which means that I'm analyzing and overanalyzing everything, right? Whether it's my reaction, whether it's my response, whether it's what was the valuable lesson that came from this thing, whether it was what is the proper opportunity. So it's really about just kind of mastery. I'll be 50 years old this year, which for me is a big milestone.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for turning up too. So like I just been really, a lot of introspection this year. Yeah. And like not chasing the bag, not just trying to do, like I'm doing a lot of things. Yeah. But my focus is the process of how you do those things, how do you come out of those things, and how do you grow from doing those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
All right, perfect.
So during your process of learning mastery, do you have any lessons you want to share with us?
So probably one of the most valuable lessons is you never stop learning. So do you ever watch karate flicks?
No.
Okay. You might be a little young. I'm gonna give you. Pops probably know. Pops probably know. So there's a karate flick called 36 Chambers. You ever heard of it? Ever heard of 36 Chambers? Okay, right? So Pop's seen it a million times. He understands. You gotta watch it. That's your assignment.
Nah, it's my list.
Find 36 Chambers and watch it. So what happens in 36 Chambers is, guy comes to the Shaolin Temple. He wants to learn. Master says, we only have 35 chambers. You have to build the 36th chamber. So in the process of building the 36th chamber, this guy thinks he's not learning anything. And in his upsetness or whatever, he realizes that he's learned all of the mastery that he needed to know in building the 36th chamber, right? So sometimes, like most of us, we study the final product and the outcome. But we don't study our process. So I am really tuned into trying to perfect how I learn and then turn it around, right? So once you do that and you can duplicate it, now you can rinse and repeat, and you can scale, right? So you haven't really thought about scaling sovereignty or liberation on a whole scale. But how do you now take the things that you've learned, what you do, how you present your products, right? Business has to be a part of it, right? So there are fee-for-service things. How do you do these things in with community, with your people around the world, so that it makes sense?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a little area in the clouds,
it's complex, but
I don't want to give you the regular surface stuff. Oh, I'm working on this project and I'll have this building opening and then this car service. Like, all that stuff is cool. But the essence of the spiritual work is like all that underneath stuff.
Okay. So how do you find the development, like the pace of development in Ghana so far?
So very interesting. So, because mastery, right? And just, so I'm gonna ask you a question. How do you define development? Through what lens are we looking at it, right?
Okay.
So it's not really a question, but let's work through it together.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the pace of development in Ghana, then what are we measuring that against?
I would measure the pace of development on actual completion. So not just starting something and leaving it, like development where you started something, even if it took 5-10 years, you've completed it, and now you're on to your next.
That's a very good definition. Yeah. So I normally tell people that places like West Africa, which I call Black Africa, we're like Android open source. The West and more developed nations are like OS, right? Every app cannot work on the OS platform. Even coders have to be specialized. But anybody, which can be good and bad, can come on an open source, right?
Start working,
platform, because you got your boundaries, but now you can create your walls and routes. And I think that for people of African descent, when we all wake up, most of us will function a little better in an open source environment. Number one, because we're able to use our creativity. Number two, because once we can kind of deal with some of our traumas and our past and our history, and we can get past that, then it's like, okay, well, we're here now. So we don't have all of the same things that held us back before. And it's cash-based, right? Which can help some of us. You could take a little bit, take your time, and grow it to a lot. So there are a number of reasons why I think that it works, and you're in the majority, right? So environment is important, right? You could think about a great athlete who was always a great athlete, but he didn't become a great athlete till his environment changed, right? I can take a lot of these football players out of Africa. Now the environment that I put them in is one made to make professional football players. I got the science, I got the right balls, I got the shoes. Like I got everything about football and put you in it, right? Now think about how many Europeans don't make it. They don't have it. They're not a natural athlete. So the African players, so many of them are natural, which is why we run football. We run all the sports. So we just need the environment, right? So if you change people and put them in an environment, then some of the things that may have either held you back, held you down, or blocked your view disappear. And it may take a little while, but now you can thrive in a different environment. Like I personally believe, my personal belief, that the US justice system, the Western justice system will never work for our people. Our people are not gonna thrive in a system or a place that's based on punishment. Where I put you in a hole, that's not who we are. We can, however, do an Ibrahim Traore, farm and you reduce time. We can thrive in that farming thing. So I think especially from DC where I am, Chicago, all those urban cities, and this is a part of some of my goals, like these are my real reasons for being here, right? How do I help create a space that those of us who probably have been labeled from birth can have a space to come to and thrive, because the environment has now removed these instances that say you can't. And now you freed up to be creative in a sense. So,
So speaking of thriving, what does success look like to you?
You know, interesting. I don't know yet, because my bar is pretty high, right?
It should be.
I be telling people like, yo, like, when I die, like the ultimate tribute when I die is like, you be like, yo, we had Malcolm, we had Garvey, we had Diallo 901. Like, that's a high bar, bro. So I don't know what success looks like, and I'm not too concerned about it, because I'm alive, I got time, and I'm energy, so I'm working. Right?
I get it.
But on a familial level, success looks like, success for me looks like, you know, my mom, my family, that the things that I'm doing are making an immediate difference in my native family and my extended family. Success to me looks like, so let me take 2 steps back. I'm already successful, and I'll tell you why. I will probably never be more successful than I am, because my son is already further than me. So he's traveled the world 5 times over. He's a jazz musician, and he's a better man than me. When I say better, he'll say dad, but I'm saying like the things he has at his age, the level of compassion that he has, the empathy that he has, and, right? And I'm like, when I was 28, I was knocking a little head. I was like, so I've already won. Big, right? Your pops will, you know, when we get older, like we cry. When we think about our children and kind of the things that we've been through. So from a very deep level, success, I'm successful. Yes. So not only my son, but my daughter also, right? My son came first and then my daughter, and my family. And it's like, I've taken the things of me growing up in my family, like, and I'm still like, I've always said like, yo, I'm moving to Africa and I'm gonna build monuments and put my family's name on it. Right? So the first one in my village is called the Breeden. It's a guest house hotel. It's named after my great aunt Isabel and my uncle Lindo, who were my guardian angels. You know, when I was in the 6th grade and bad and just, they protected me from my family and said, he's gonna be okay. So nobody couldn't touch me because she was the matriarch of the family. So when she passed away and all of this, and my sister was about to send her couches to the secondhand store, I said no, and I shipped them here and I've held them. So in this building will be my great aunt's couches. Her spirit will be there with me. People will see the couch and not understand it, but it's like, yo, this Breeden, like Isabel Breeden, I can't be here without Isabel Breeden, right? Another development that I have called Pinchy's Place. My grandfather's Pinchy, my mother's father. He's a hero to my uncle and to us because he was a man who took a woman who had 5 or 6 kids. And said, well, if I'm taking you, I'm taking your kids. It took care of all. My grandfather, I have his tools. When they told me to come get the tools, the circular saw, so for me, like the success stuff is in progress. It's like, and then something else that's important is like the documentation of it. So I've also realized that like we have to tell the story and document it. So I think I've done a really good job of documenting things and holding it. The little time capsule kind of piece, so that later on my family history isn't lost. So it's not a single answer, but definitely when I look at my children, it's like, so the rest of this is me kind of fulfill my personal mission. I think, you know, God, what he gave, but me and my wife talk about this because we didn't fall in love. You know, the movie Sumbry, the rose, that wasn't it, but we were married 28 years, right? And it was really like we kind of had 5 agreements that made us get married, which was we wanted our children to have more experiences than things. They both had to go to Africa. We wanted them to, we agreed that they wouldn't have student loans through graduate school. We would get them through graduate school. That we agreed about like the food, like they couldn't be beefaroni, oodles and noodles kids kind of thing. And I think the other one that didn't really work growing up was we wouldn't have arguments and things, but life happens. But it was those basic things, and it was like, so on our cake was a proverb that said, those who share like bloodlines are linked together in life and death. So even today, it's like we understand that something happened cosmically, and we needed to be married to each other to do something for our clans. Like something happened in her family line and my family line, and there's something that's destined to happen in our family lines in the future that was dependent on us getting married and having kids. Most people won't understand that because it's real spiritual, but we kind of understood that. That doesn't mean we don't love each other. That doesn't mean we don't, because he's my best friend. We have fun. That doesn't mean any of that. But the commitment that we have to marriage, because being married and staying married over time, 28 years through, we got married at 21, you raise each other, you go through all these things. It's not about romanticism. It's not vows day. It's work.
Now, what do you think, or what are your thoughts on chieftaincy and leadership?
So leadership. Leadership I'm developing. So when you're a young leader and you see other leaders, you're actually learning how to respect other leadership styles and modalities. But I think there are some standard things in leadership. For me, good leadership is, because you can have bad leadership, but I think good leaders raise other leaders around them. Good leaders communicate. Good leaders also have a certain amount of empathy, I think. Like, okay, on show day, everybody gets cussed out because we got to get it done. But a good leader afterwards says, I want to thank everybody. I apologize for my emotion earlier in order for us to get this done. Right? As opposed to cuss everybody out and let it stay. So I think there are some things about leadership that you learn. My biggest lesson from leadership is, there's a quote that says, when you let other people take credit, you get the most done. It's true. It's very true. And then I also learned that you can be just as effective, sometimes more effective, leading from the middle and the back. You don't have to be the person in the front. But the lesson that God is teaching me right now is that when it's your time and turn to lead from the front, you have to lead from the front. Right? Because most of what people see from me from the past 2 or 3 years is my team saying, bro, you got to go out. You got to go. And I was like, let me just stay back here and push buttons. Let me just make this happen now. And it's like, no, you need to do interviews, you need to do this. Like, so now I'm here. Right? I'm like, all right. Y'all, you said you wanted me here now. Don't regret it now, right? Right? Because you can't muzzle me. So, leadership is one of those things that I think you're always growing. You have to be. You can't ever have it all. Right? You have to make other leaders. You have to be able to do consensus. And sometimes it's just, the leader may sometimes, like, what's this movies I watched? All these 300, Gladiator, these kind of movies like that. The new one or the old one? Both of them. All right. It's like the leader is the one who is like, this whole crew is charging at you. And the leader's like, hold it, hold it, hold it. Like, you gotta be that one where to know that they're about to chop your heads off. And when they raise theirs, and you gotta know to say now. Which gives you that advantage kind of thing, right? So I can talk a lot about leadership. But chieftaincy, I think, I'm gonna just say we need cultural protocol, right? there are a lot of people who will receive a chieftaincy title. And there are a lot of people who will give chieftaincy titles away.
Yeah.
And it's not the same. So number one, it's not monolithic. So I'm a chief in the Kwabena region, which is Akan, which is not Ashanti. So Ashantis are Akan, but all Akans are not Ashantis, right? So what happens in that process is probably going to be a little bit different than Fanti. It's going to be different than Ga. It's going to be different than Ewe. It's going to be different than up north. So one, we need to understand that it's not all the same. There are some basic things that are going to be the same.
Yeah.
I personally believe that it's a super big responsibility.
Of course.
Right? And like you have to, if you're going to do it, do it. Like that's my thing. Like, you know, but that's just like anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to a school called University of District of Columbia, UDC. UDC is an urban land grant institution in Washington, D.C. It was created to help people of a certain income level be able to get a baccalaureate degree other than teaching, because at the time all they had was minors teachers college in the 1800s and all of that in D.C. And I've been in the room with a lot of PhDs from Harvard and Yale who can't think their way out of the bag. Right? Yeah. So it's like, you like wasted, right? Yeah. That's a waste of a degree. So my point of bringing that up is, like, it's the same with chieftaincy, so to speak. Somebody could give you and bestow this title on you, but it really takes heart. Yeah. As a diasporan too, when you come here, it takes a lot of heart. It takes vision. It takes commitment. It takes money. It's a very, very true commitment.
It's work.
It's work. Like most things are work, right? The thing that I appreciate about work is copying your stuff and trying to steal your ideas. Yeah. You ain't got to worry about it if they lazy. It's true. They're not gonna go far. Yeah. Because if you think you can take what I'm trying to do for me, you number one, you wouldn't do that if you had the capacity to do it, because you would respect what it takes to do. Yeah. And you would just be doing it yourself, your own thing, right? Yeah. You too lazy. At some point, you're going to be like, yo, this is my second 18-hour day. I'm done. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like, yo, 18-hour days is regular. I'm trying to stop doing 20. Yeah. To you know, and find that balance. Yeah. So I would say that I still believe there's a lot of fake chiefs out here. And by that, I'm not talking about anybody specific. But you know who you are. Hit dogs will holler. Yeah. Like I posted this other video and I talked about fake chiefs on another platform. Let me just say this. Anybody who see this, if you one of those people who text me and ask me if I was talking about you, yes. Because I ain't calling no names. Yeah. So you felt something. Yeah, it spoke to you. So if you felt like when I said these fake chiefs, I was talking about you, then that should be an automatic sign that you need to do something different. Yeah, because why would you feel that? Yeah. Because if I watched that, I wouldn't think you was talking about me. Yeah. My mind would think you was talking about me. But if you felt like I was addressing you sideways somehow or throwing a side
it's like
shot.
When your teachers are like, those who didn't do your homework, and you know you didn't do your homework.
And you know you didn't do your homework.
So they're looking everywhere else, but the ones who did their homework,
they're
cool. They're cool.
They're
chilling.
They ain't talking to me. Right? Yeah. So you know, it's but let me also say it's a part of the process. You have to have those people. Yeah. You have to have the people who get the titles, don't do it right, so examples could be made. And we're looking at a mass thing happening right now. So you're going to have people who fall through the cracks, things don't work right. Yeah. So it's not like, and then some people, it's not their fault. Yeah. Some people are not getting the proper education. They're not getting the proper cultural orientation. Yeah. Somebody's telling them the wrong thing. Yeah. So I don't think everybody intentionally is taking a chieftaincy role or title. Yeah. Just like all teachers are good. Some people become teachers, but they're abusive to their kids, right? Yeah. Some is intentional, some are not. Some are just lazy. If you teaching children, you got to read beyond the textbook. You got to learn and know the information to help all different learning styles. So I don't think it's 100% people purposely taking a title and not living up to it.
Yeah.
But there are some who are.
Yeah. That's a very good answer. Thank you so much.
I've decided to be more political instead of calling all of them
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. So, do you have any insights or any words you want to bestow upon all the leaders out there? Like anything you feel that they should know?
So, I think that I talked about trusting God's timing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this here, and I've said this on a couple of other interviews. I just think this year is special. I think this time that we're living in is special. And I don't think it's any more special than other times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Every time had a special time, especially for Black people.
Yeah.
And I just think that the way the world is, how cyclic it is, like every generation is going to have a special time until Black people reascend to greatness, you know, to Mansa Musa, right?
Yeah.
Every generation is going to have a special time on our ascension. So I think every generation is just a process of reascension. Like I guess every 5,000, 10,000 years it's going to happen. But it's such a long time, who knows, right? So my thing is I feel like 2025 is the last year of the first quarter of this century. Right? So 1900 to 1925. That gave us the UNIA. Right? I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I am everything that I am at the same time. That gave us Divine Nine Black Greeks. Right? I pledged in grad school. Right? I couldn't as an undergrad because I was too revolutionary and I couldn't reconcile wearing the noose, a suit. So my reason I did because I was like, my teachers told me a tie is a Black man's noose and a white man's uniform. I had to get past that. Then I actually had to get to do some research and realize that, wait a minute, so W.E.B. Du Bois, the talented 10th, he was the alpha, that was these people. The bourgeoisie, but those people are responsible for our PhD. Like, they played a role, and we couldn't have thrown them, got rid of them. Oh, so these are the same guys who pledged, okay, so this is Black history. Okay, I could do it. I had to find my side of that. So 1900 to 1925, 1800 to 1825, 1700 to 1725, 1600 to 1625 is when they say the first documented enslaved Africans arrived here. That's where year returned 2019, even though we know we came here well before Columbus. So my point is, I just feel like, at least now in my generation, in my lifetime, now is a time where at the top, you collaborate. At the bottom, you compete. That's number one. So now is the time for leaders to collaborate, right? I met your father. No ego. Peace, brother. Hailing me up, bigging me up. I know who you are. I follow you. I look forward to working with you in the future. Anything I could do, let me know. Off the break. Off bucks. I'm like, that's what's up. That's a good dude. Ain't nothing there, right? Yo, Baba, next time you come in town, you need a spot to stay. I got a spot for you to stay. Boom. Yo, we having this Independence Day party. Brought the whole family to Oasis. Just wanted to link up, right? I'm in town. Yo, my son doing the interview. I got you, Baba. I got this time. I got to do this. I got this time slot, but I'm gonna pull up. That's what leaders do with each other. Find the time and space to make time and space for each other. But what I am going to do is say this, because I have an interview coming out that's going to talk a little bit about this. I hope it shakes a little tables in the right way. What we have to do as a people, specifically diasporans in Ghana and outside, the same challenges that plague most of our historical organizations in the U.S. will plague our organizations here. We have to figure out this space where it's time for the elders to pass the baton, and it's time for the next generation to assume the baton. Most of the time, what happens is the elders are running with it, and then they die with it. And they never get to complete a full transfer, a transference. Or the young lions is chasing them and take it. And when we chase them and take it, it creates a division. So now our power is split. So now we've delayed by another 20 years. What's going to be very important for us here, for example, is that we talked about mastery. We figure that out. It's not, we don't have to figure out what the name of the organization, this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
We got to figure out this balance between apprenticeship, mentorship, and intergenerational transmission. One of my teachers, Kwabena Duku, rest in peace, who wrote the book Nation Building, as well as Nkosuohene. He was my teacher from 9th grade to 12th grade. I graduated from the Independent African Center School, Nation House Positive Action Center. And then he was like my uncle, right? So he always talked about intergenerational transmission. And I think that he talked about it, but I also think like he could have done a better job in it.
Yeah.
But then when I look at myself and I look at all of the other people who studied under him, I see him.
You see his job, his
in
work.
different parts of him everywhere.
Yeah.
So I personally believe we need to figure out how to formalize something, right? Like me, I don't want to die with all that I've done and I have. So that, whether it's, and it needs to be real. Like when I was young and I was talking to my elders, like I wanted them to share stories with me, be like, yo, when was the first time you got head? Can I say that on this thing? Right? Like, talk to me, Baba. I'm a young man.
Yeah.
I don't want to just hear about the books. Tell me about life.
Yeah.
Did you ever do drugs? Did you ever smoke weed? Did you ever sniff coke?
Yeah.
Tell me your whole, share with me as I'm growing up and trying to figure myself out. Don't just give me where you landed as a revolutionary.
Yeah.
Back me up and then bring me so I can understand, right? So we need that with our young people, but really, most importantly, I believe, is that 45 to 75-year-old with our mamas and babas, and I think the women have to do it with the women and the men have to do it with the men. We need to figure that out. Because I think there needs to be a time when elders get to a point where they shouldn't be the one always doing the keynotes, or always leading the meetings, or always leading the things. But we have to figure it out, because that elder, sometimes it's financial. Sometimes it's literally the elder needs the money to live. So they can't afford to take that gig, that speech, and give it to somebody under them. They need it to live. So we got to figure that out with the apprenticeship, where it's like, yo, this is how it's go. Baba is like, yo, listen, I'm going to pass you everything I got, but for the next 10 years, everything that comes, and this is how 36 chambers, this is how they used to do it. Like, I get 80 and you get 20. And you got to accept that the 20 you getting is a stipend in your tuition for learning. And then the elder has to also understand, okay, and I understand that the reason why the elder needs to get 80 because they need it. And then after that, when I get 100, I still have the responsibility to take care of the elder until they expire. Some of it is literal life. How do I pay my bills, take care of my family? Some of it is that. It's literal that. But then we need to figure that out, that transition out. And once we get that smooth, we can have a continuum. We won't have to start over every generation. Like whoever's coming after me could say, okay. And another part of this goes back to leadership is you don't get to choose that you do it because you agree with it. The order is already set. Trust me, it's better to obey than sacrifice. I'm not always doing the things that I want to do. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. Some of it's not good for me, but it makes me feel good. But I can't do all of those things. Like, I have to do what's good for the collective. Hence me telling you, me being out front, me stepping into this leadership role, me as opposed to being from the back in the middle. So it's like I'm jumping around because it's something that that's that I'm talking about with myself and developing, like just analyzing. Because again, I think one, I'm faking. I'm only gonna be 50 this year, but I'm acting like I'm about to be 70. So I'm acting like I'm about to be 50 this year. Like it's that long, but for me it's special, right? So I'm treating it that way. So I'm thinking about everything, and that's one of the things that I'm thinking about is, like I want to know, I've talked to my nephews, my sons. Shouts out to Hakeem Graham, one of my nephews back home in DC. He just stepped up to the plate like, Baba, I got this property here. He just stepped up. I didn't call him. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm going to handle this one to make sure we support what you're doing back home.
Yeah.
Young man who I helped raise, grow up. He's married, kids. And he's like, I've been looking for a way to repay you for what you did for me in my life. And I needed one true soldier in DC to handle this one thing.
Yeah.
So my prayer was answered. I thought I wanted my prayers to be answered a different way. I wanted my prayers to be answered with a contract or a loose, $30K.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy, a loose $30K, right? But when you grow, things happen. And when you believe, it happens. You know what I mean by a loose $30K, Baba? A loose $30K to just pay it off and just pay it and let it run.
Yeah. And
it didn't come that way. It came in Hakeem. So now I got to pour into him. Okay, perfect. I needed that, right? One that something that I used to say and I got it tattooed on my body is engage your core. So this idea of engage your core, I remember I was working out with my cousin. She was the teacher, crunches, whatever. She would just say, engage your core, do everything from your core. So and then watching core strength and gymnastics and understanding core. Yeah. So even as a human being, when you stand up, but if your core is strong, you'll see people that ain't got a lot of muscles, but their core is so strong, they can do crazy things more than any weightlifter. Yes. So young and older people, I think the most important thing for us to do is engage our core. Engage your core values daily. Engage your spiritual beliefs daily. Engage your family daily. Engage your strengths daily. I always say, learn how to spend time in the dark room with your thoughts. If you can't, you got some more work to do. Be in the dark room with the door locked, no light, and just you and your thoughts. Like, can you handle that, right? So engage your core. And if you engage your core, and everything you do is coming from, I'm moving from my core spiritual beliefs. I'm moving from my core values. Yeah. I'm moving understanding that my family, like if you always engage your core, you'll never wind up in a bad place. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And if you wind up in a place that's bad, it's probably not bad. It just might be painful. Yeah. But that means you needed to go through that pain. My brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
No
we
doubt.
Appreciate all your time.
Let me know how I can help. You know what I'm
remarkable
saying?
results.
Just reach out. I'm here.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Word.